Charleston classical guitarist Grace McNally is out with a rustic new album called Full Circle. I talk one-on-one with Grace about this new album and what's next for her for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Grace McNally, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be back.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are a local guitarist and songwriter here in the Low Country who actually had a passion for music and classical guitar since the age of 5. And you also, of course, are the station manager of the iconic Ohm Radio 96.3. So let me ask you, what's new, what's now with Grace McNally music?
Well, good question. Well, I released, since we last talked, which was maybe a year or plus ago. It's crazy how time passes. So I released an album in 2023 May this year, and so that was a really big project that took many years to come to fruition, and it was a really exciting time when that was released. We had a big concert where I showcased everything on the album live. So it had 20-something musicians, and we had spoken word and had it downtown in First Baptist Church. They were gracious enough to let us be there. And so it was just a really exciting, early summer. I was featured on TEDx in spring and April of this year, which feels like actually longer but it was this year. And that was really cool too, to showcase 2 original songs, on the TEDx stage and just be a part of that event, because it's just got an incredible, it brings in incredible people doing really interesting work and who have great ideas. So that was cool just to be there. And what else? And then the summer, I took off a little bit over the summer and did some traveling, focused on my personal life a little bit. And then this fall have been performing more, showcasing the album. And I guess coming up this Friday, I'll be at Creative Mornings.
Yes.
Have you been?
Well, they featured me many years ago in 2019. 2018, excuse me. Yes, ma'am.
That doesn't surprise me. You'd be perfect for it. But so okay, yes, it's so much fun.
Yes.
And an incredible, it's cool that it's local, but there's also, it's international. And so I'm excited to do that. Yeah. And then World Music Cafe will be that evening. So,
wow.
Wow. And yeah.
Okay. If you were to go back into the studio and actually produce some songs and put together an album, what would you name that album to describe your life right now?
Ooh, I would probably name it something that has to do with kind of I feel like this period is a little bit of a blooming period for myself. So something to do with that. I would have to, I'm not great at coming up with things to write on the spot, but it's something to do with blooming or that kind of thing. Cause I feel like musically, I'm just feeling really, inspired and opened up in a way that I've never felt before. So that something like that would be appropriate.
How have you over the years prepared yourself to be able to bloom the way you are blooming right now?
I think just I've been really lucky to have great teachers. So I've had some great mentors, and I think just sticking with it, not giving up on the craft of music and listening to that inner voice that, kind of nudges you to do, certain things. Like this album was a big, following that, inner voice. So I think those things have helped me get to where I am now, and it's a journey. I mean, it really is. I know it's kind of cliched, but it really is a journey. So it's kind of, I don't know really what's next, but all I know is that it's this is where I am now.
And
obviously you came out with the rustic new album Full Circle, obviously, which the post the Charleston City paper actually sets it like the sun, peaceful and illuminating. So, how have you been able to strengthen yourself musically because of Full Circle?
How have I been able to? Sorry, what'd you
Yes,
say?
ma'am. Yeah, how
Yeah.
have you been able to strengthen yourself musically because of Full Circle and that album?
Oh, that's a good question. I love the way Chelsea put it. I
Yeah.
thought that was really beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I think was able to strengthen um, my voice, musical voice, but also just through collaborating with other musicians. That was, you learn and you grow so much just by doing that. So just by working with the people that I got to work with, who were people that I really look up to, admire their work, it was like a dream come true to work with every single one of them. And so that in itself was just like, I feel like they say iron sharpens iron. I mean, I
Right.
feel like when you work with people who I consider them all a level above where I am. And
Oh,
so to me, it was like, oh, it helps you, sharpen your own game, so to speak.
so to speak. And which one of those artists, Grace, actually resembles your music?
Which one of them?
Yes, ma'am.
I think, I don't know. I think they all do in some way.
Mm.
I was drawn to each of them for a reason, because of um, the genre that their style, their genre, their also just their approach to music. I feel like that's so important, especially when you're walking or working with someone, on a big project. It's always it's kind of like the full package that you look for, and so that's what each of them, I think represents a piece of um, music that resonates with me.
And how has your music resonated with your listeners, I should say?
That's a good question. I've gotten a lot of really great feedback. People are from the live shows. People are always saying, wow, I didn't know this about that song or music in general, or the music from Charleston and the music from Brazil, or
Oh, yes.
West Africa. So I think, and that's always, exciting to hear that it's, familiar but new at the same time for people. And then people, yeah, that's just beautiful, relaxing. I think I really hope, I always like creating an environment for people to just relax and enjoy themselves.
Yes.
So yeah.
And as a disclaimer, I mean, I've become a big fan of live music since the day I stepped foot in Nashville last year,
Oh yeah.
which is a big town for that, and Austin, of course, concurrently. But
Yeah.
how do you separate yourself as a guitarist and a songwriter when it comes to live music and actually recording music?
Hmm. As I think live recording, when I think of recording, I think of more of the craft because it's so
Mm.
much more of a technical thing, but then live is more like the experience. Um, Recording, I am always excited to try and bring different tones and like timbres out of the guitar. So like, it's such a versatile instrument. You can do so much.
Yeah.
So bringing that out in the studio excites me and is kind of, yes. And I like to focus on that with my music. And then with the live shows, just um, really connecting with the audience, making an effort to connect and to share and stories and kind of think whenever I'm preparing for a show, I always try to think of if I was in the audience, what would I want to hear, or look like experience in general. So that's where I start. Um, and, it's still an ongoing process for sure. But those are some things that I focus on, recording versus performing.
And that brings me to my next question, Grace. I mean, what new style of acoustics do you want to actually incorporate into your music next?
That's a really good question. I've been thinking about that. I have some. pipe dream, like some, dream kind of ensemble ideas. One, do more with percussion. I'm always, and I'm so excited for Creative Mornings this Friday because it's rhythm is the theme. And so working, kind of exploring more in the percussion realm and the guitar. And then also solo guitar. I'm kind of, some of it is I'm going back to like the solo stuff a little bit. And then also doing some more, I'd love to do a symphonic arrangement, like series of arrangements. So that would be like a total dream come true. And then maybe do some more choral work. So
wow.
Yeah.
So which local artists would you want to collaborate on with that?
Oh my gosh. With the symphony, I think of the Charleston Symphony Orchestra that comes to mind. But in terms of percussionists and then and choirs, I'm very open. I love working with Plantation Singers. I love working with the percussionist Gino Miller, Ron, who I've played with. And there's tons of people in the scene that I haven't yet to work with and meet. So I'm excited to kind of just have the door open and like, through kind of new future projects, collaborate with new people. Yeah.
Wow. So when you think back to when you started, producing and recording music to now, what is the biggest difference?
I think the biggest difference is that now I've done it a little bit. I was really like, had very little experience before. So it feels good to have done it at least once.
Yes.
In a full, completed an album. And so now it's like, okay, it doesn't feel as scary or like as big of a mountain to climb, for the next times.
Wow. Yeah. And when you think about your album again, Full Circle, which one of these songs actually describes you?
Oh, gosh. They're all, I think, in a way, I feel connected to each of them. I think I'd probably have to choose one of the original songs off the album. Probably Give Me Water just feels very home in a lot of ways. I wrote it in my childhood bedroom, and
Wow.
it's like 100% an original song. So I feel like that probably is the one that feels like closest to my heart. But each song on there is special. I chose with intention. So yeah, I think they're all apart. But yeah.
In your heart, Grace, what do you want to produce next musically?
That's, I think I've been writing and working on more arrangements and original music. And I think of recording, doing some more recording projects. And also another live, working on some live experiences for people. I really love, I love that element too. So finding kind of new and creative ways to bring music to people. So those two, yeah, I think it's an exciting time. I'm kind of like wrapping up this year. The next year's on the horizon. So yeah.
Wow. Stay tuned. We can't wait. We're excited.
Tuned.
Yes, we're excited about it.
Yes, you always ask great questions. I was like, it gets me thinking. I'm like, yes. Well.
Yeah, see, that's that. Yeah, that's the approach I have. Yes,
yeah.
But you're doing great work here in the Low Country, and we truly appreciate your public service to this community so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That means a lot. And likewise, I mean, you're right there in it. Yeah, no, 100%. Well, if I can ask, what do you have? Do you have anything coming up that you're excited about?
Oh, just keep doing more interviews. That's about it. That's
Yeah.
about it. Yes, ma'am.
Well, you have a great platform and you do a great job, and I know it's a lot of work, so I appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Well, local guitarist and singer and songwriter Grace McNally, thank you for your time again here on Quintin's Close-Ups. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Quintin. It was a blast. Thanks so much for having me. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Likewise.